This is All of It on WNYC. I'm Alison Stewart. In the Bob Dylan biopic, A Complete Unknown, we learn about the songwriter through the people around him. Musicians like Pete Seeger, Johnny Cash, and of course, Joan Baez, played by my next guest, Monica Barbaro. To step in the role, Barbaro did extensive research and vocal training and guitar lessons so she can sound like this.
Away from my window, leave at your own chosen speed. I'm not the one you want, babe. I'm not the one you need.
She's now nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress as well as a Screen Actors Guild Award. Monica, welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
When you auditioned, who was attached to this project?
James Mangold and Timothée Chalamet. And that was about it. They were in discussion they were in conversation with Elle. I'm not sure I think Boyd was being talked about, but that was about it. Yeah.
What was the audition process like?
Well, it was in 2020. So
a while ago.
Yeah, my first audition was in 2020. And you get an email and you get like the specs of the job. And in this case, it was a few scenes. One of the scenes had a song laced into it. And then they asked also for me to self-tape a song. And so, I went in the room with Yessi Ramirez and I auditioned and was told I was going to meet James Mangold the next week because it went well and yay. And then like, oh wait, there's this pandemic happening. And so maybe 2 weeks. Oh my gosh. And then next thing I knew, the project kind of almost fell apart. And I did, there was no attachment to it until 2023 when I met him.
A couple of weeks ago on your Instagram, you had an email that said, it was from James Mangold, and it said, Joan is yours.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Once you get that part, once it's nailed, what's next for you? What do you have to do for research?
I mean, I think I celebrated for all of 10 minutes before I grabbed my sister's guitar and took it to get restrung. I was so nervous. I was so excited, but so nervous because Joan is an incredible guitar player. She's an incredible singer. She's well known for being great at those things. Has a lot of devoted fans, and me included. And I didn't do either of those things. I didn't sing. I didn't play. And so I knew my work was cut out for me.
When it came to appreciating her as an artist, what did you come away from this role, understanding about her as a musician?
Well, I really loved learning about the folk music scene and how every song, like how songs were passed around and translated through different artists' styles. Mm-hmm. And there's so many of her arrangements of these songs that I just think are so brilliant. And I really loved getting to absorb her versions of songs. And then also that tying in with the research and learning about her, I found that when I listened to House of the Rising Sun and she hovers on this part about her sister, I felt once I knew more about, her relationship with her younger sister, Mimi, that there was something there. And I thought that was just a really beautiful thing to kind of understand these songs almost as, the musician taking on storytelling, taking on some version of their own life within the midst of a song that's, about maybe something seemingly completely different.
You worked with a vocal coach, yeah?
I did. Eric Vitro.
What's that entail?
Oh my God.
Everything?
Yeah, everything. He's a therapist. Truly, it was a constant you can do this energy. And so in my audition, I couldn't sing as high as Joan does. So or did at that time. So that was a big part of what we worked on, was getting my range to expand to sing as high as she did. And also she has a really strong, steady vibrato, and she plays a lot with dynamics. So it's not just, can I sing a song, but can I sound like Joan and can I capture the essence of what she brought to the music that she sang? And so we just day in and day out tried to work all of those different elements.
I wonder as I watch the film, how do you walk the line between getting Joan's voice and not imitating Joan?
You know, it's a push and pull.
Yeah.
I think it is a fine line. And ultimately, I think like you're doing that work throughout. I mean, I felt that while we were filming, and I watched Timothy do that while we were filming. Some and Ed, you know, all of us, like some lines felt more imitation-y, and some would slip into our own voice, and sometimes you hit kind of that beautiful, perfect balance. And luckily it is a medium where Jim can choose his best take.
Yeah.
But that's a part of the process, I think, is just sort of like playing and experimenting with those things. Like, we don't want ultimately a mimicry of the person, and yet for me that those were exercises that I did, like, you know, pure imitation. And it's a lot of play and fine tuning, and then really ultimately trusting our amazing director. I noticed you said walk the line.
Let's slip that in there. Just slip that in there. I read on the internet, and tell me if it's true or not, because, you know, the internet, that you wore fake teeth.
I did. Yeah. Oh, there's this incredible artist. His name is Art. And he is an artist with a capital A. He is an artist of all kinds. He's an incredible illustrator as well. But he made teeth. We went through a couple rounds of teeth so that they wouldn't look sort of silly. And I think Jim saw a picture of me in a fitting, and he was like, okay, but we don't want the Hollywoodized version of this person. And that was, I mean, the entire production. It's like I'm looking at this box that these headphones are plugged into right now. If we were on set, our set designer would be running up at the last minute, painting it with stuff to make it look old. And so, you know, everything was just about getting that authenticity. And Joan has this amazing smile, and had these like just incredible teeth that people would comment on and were beloved. And so, yeah, he asked for those teeth to be made. And this guy did the teeth he did Will Smith's teeth for King Richard. He did Charlize Theron's teeth for Monster. And we would joke. I was like, he needs a cabinet at the Academy Museum or something.
My guest is Monica Barbaro. She stars as Joan Baez in the biopic A Complete Unknown. She's nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. Let's play another clip from the film. This is a scene between Bob Dylan and Joan Baez after they spent the night together, and Joan is making coffee.
Yeah, these chords I learned from a cowboy named Wigglefoot.
You were in a carnival. You are so completely full of I had lessons as a kid, you know, normal lessons. I write too. I'm not sure there's a way to learn that.
Too hard.
Excuse me?
You tried too hard to write.
Really?
Yeah, if you're asking.
I wasn't.
Sunsets and seagulls, smell of buttercups. Your songs are like an oil painting at the dentist's office.
You're kind of an Bob.
Yeah, I guess.
It's funny to listen to. I don't think I've ever just listened to it.
So that was one of the last scenes you filmed for the movie.
The last, yeah.
How do you think that extra time improved your performance on that scene?
Well, I find it's easier to play contentious. I don't know why. I don't know what it is in human nature that exists this way, and maybe other people feel differently, but I kind of feel like it's pretty common. It's easier to play scenes where you're contentious with somebody than it is to play really intimately connected scenes. Or that's just somehow like more readily available to us for some reason. And so we started with our first scene together was the scene where we sing together on the stage in Pittsburgh, and he leaves her on stage, and we're fighting and we're improvising with the audience, and we shot that first, and then we shot Blowin' in the Wind last. And I don't know if that was Jim's design. I've actually mentioned this a few times in Q&As with him, and he's never let on whether he whether he designed it that way or if it was just accidental. But yeah, the Blowin' in the Wind scene was the final scene we shot, and it was just really wonderful to get that time to kind of settle into these characters, and we got to know each other better, and I think we trusted each other implicitly, but that also grew over time when we saw each other deliver on these scenes, and we got to work together more and more. And also Jim gave that scene so much time. I think we shot it. It was a whole day for just that scene. And I think the same is true for the gorgeous scene that Elle Fanning and Timmy do on between the fence, on either side of the fence. They got loads of time with it. He's always willing to give those sorts of scenes the time they deserve.
When you're thinking about the big picture of the movie, what does Joan get from Bob?
Ooh. Oh, God. Sorry, kicking things. Well, I think Joan was grappling with her relationship with her fame at the time. She was she was very well known before anyone knew Bob existed. And I think that butt heads with some of her values and her upbringing, and she wasn't sure what she wanted out of out of this role that she had developed and this sort of power and platform that she had as a musician. But I think she felt like she really wanted to communicate, more about what was going on in the world and say more with her music, and she wasn't finding the words to express what she was trying to say, and I think Bob provided those words. I think it's funny because I think in part he did that because of Suze Rotolo's influence, and somewhere in some universe I think maybe Suze Rotolo and Joan hung out and wrote songs themselves. But he's a brilliant writer, and he was impassioned at that time and inspired by Suze, which is essentially what Elle's character is based on. Who Elle's character is based on, and yeah, he was saying the things she was trying to find the words to say, and he gave her that, and he gave the whole movement that.
So I interviewed Joan Baez on this show. She's sitting right there.
Oh my God, cool!
Right, it was great. When this documentary about her life came out, which I'm sure you saw,
yeah.
And during the interview, we played an old tape we found of her from 1960.
Oh wow!
And she would have been around 20 years old. And I asked her if she was frightened on stage, and this is what she said.
Oh, God, I was a nervous wreck.
Yeah.
I really was a nervous wreck, starting from the very beginning. Singing, I was 15, singing at a Shriners gathering, and getting just immobilized by fear. And that's, you see that some of that in the film.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe. And also because I looked so calm. And I looked so peaceful. Oh, you're so peaceful. I'm thinking, oh, my God, the turmoil going on inside there. But I I probably in a way was self-soothing by being up there, and I like the sound of my own voice. I love hearing it back. I'm just astonished at it. I'm so far from being able to do any of those notes now. I look at it and think, oh my God, how did she do that?
Since you've sort of been inside Joan Baez's mind, what stands out to you about what she said?
It's I get emotional when I hear her voice.
Yeah. It's okay.
She that's amazing to hear. I mean, I read and heard, she talks about her stage fright, and she's known for seeming so calm and confident and comfortable. And it's funny because I also was just absolutely terrified at every step of the way making this movie. But it felt to know that she was as anxious as she was, to know that she had that performance anxiety was helpful for me in that I felt like I could lean on, just the knowing that if any anxiety was present in the performance, at least that was true to Joan. Yeah, it's funny too, because when you first played a song in the beginning of this interview, the "It Ain't Me, Babe," I hear my voice back and think, wow, I sound so comfortable and confident, and just it was sheer terror all the time, and it's really overwhelming. Like I think I'm a very separate person from her. We're two different people for sure, but I feel like so connected to her. So I can't help but, I guess, I don't know, get emotional when I hear her talk. Well, did I answer? What was your question? I got those thrown.
That's a good question. That was a good answer, actually.
Okay.
You met Joan Baez.
I did.
Where, when, how, who, what?
Well, and I was terrified I was going to do that and start crying in front of her. But we spoke on the phone while I was doing the movie. I wasn't sure how that would go. Because I think sometimes people want to dictate sort of who they are if they're going to be presented in this way. I mean, she didn't seem to have attachment to how we presented her, and I was lucky for that. She just sort of answered my questions, and she was really gracious. She gave us her arrangements of her songs, and but it was just a phone call, and I hung up and just started crying, and it was intense. I had been having dreams about meeting her, and it was just you obsess over a person, you become a little bit crazy about them. And yet it kind of released me from feeling like I had to be her, and allowed me to understand that we're two separate people. And then she gave me really, time passes, we shoot the film. I'm hoping she doesn't hate it. And she left a voicemail for me and gave me positive feedback about the film, which I cried again. And then just this last weekend, I got to meet her in person. There was this benefit concert, and it was amazing to get to see her on stage, to just be in the same room with her, all of the people that she inspired. Bonnie Raitt was like, I sing because of Joan, and to hear that was like, oh my God. And she sang Diamonds and Rust beautifully, and then we got to hug backstage, and we'll keep in touch.
My guest has been Monica Barbaro. She stars as Joan Baez in the biopic A Complete Unknown. She is nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. Thanks for coming by today.
Thank you for having me.
And that is all of it. I appreciate you listening, and I appreciate you. I'll meet you back here next time.